It's now the battle of the billionaires. Governor Rauner just wrapped up his victory speech here at his headquarters in Chicago. The room is now clearing out, but he gave an impassioned speech to his supporters. First budget meeting wrapped up about an hour ago, and now lawmakers, after a brief caucus, are trickling back inside of the chamber where we're expected to see them vote on this budget. That still begs the question, can someone investigate their boss? Well, the only other entity that can actually look into this issue is the Attorney General's office, and we all know that Speaker Madigan's daughter runs that office. Candidates gunning for the governor's seat may have some explaining to do. Coming up, I'll tell you about the gas, oil, and tobacco companies reports show they're tied to. Well, sources from the governor's office tell me he plans on signing the budget on Monday in Chicago at a public gathering, and it's sure to be a media frenzy. As you guys mentioned, this is a historic budget. It's important to also note that right now in the legislature, lawmakers are voting on new legislation to try to tackle those issues. Right now, the House is taking it up. We just saw it pass in the Senate. For this could hit our economy especially hard in central Illinois. Like you said, soybeans are one of our largest exports. They actually bring in almost $2 billion to our economy each year, and with prices plummeting and so much uncertainty, some farmers are saying they may stop spending their money. A spokesperson from the governor's office tells me that he doesn't feel the state is obligated to pay step increases because the General Assembly just doesn't have the funding. You can see people can literally walk right off the streets and head straight into the front doors without any sort of security checks. I saw a lot of happy faces. The museum just shut down, but I talked to some people on their way out who said they had a great time. More than 1,200 people made their way to the museum today. But unfortunately that day, things went terribly wrong when they hit a ditch, and I'm told the ATV tumbled several times. Now the father that was supposed to be watching them that day is facing a misdemeanor criminal charge for delinquency of a minor.
What people may not realize is this is the only designated area you can cross a railroad track. Take one step over and you're trespassing.
For whatever reason, this feature is working for me, probably because I'm from California, so I'll simply just take a selfie and check out my match. If you look behind me at this sign, you probably can't read it, but it says that they're closed like most national parks. But when you compare our problems to other states, it looks like things could be a lot worse. Hundreds from the Springfield community poured out to celebrate the life of Shane Shamity.
He loved with all his heart. He loved with all his might. Shane was a great guy.
He would have been 30, and this is the first time his mother can't wish him a happy birthday.
You can't even describe it. You can't. There's no words. It's not real to any of us.
Shamity went missing Saturday night after his kayak reportedly flipped over while with 3 friends on the Sangamon River. Wednesday marks the 5th day of his search, and there's still no sign of him.
It's just very draining, and we want to find my son and bring him home.
Loved ones say the pain of not knowing is unbearable. Shamity is the father of 2 little girls and a jack of all trades, rapper, roofer, and an MMA fighter.
You name it, him and I have, we've been through it.
Vincent Ezel, his coach of 8 years, says he talked to Shamity 2 days before he disappeared.
He was hitting his weights, and he was telling me how excited he was to get back into the cage and whatnot, and it's just very sad.
Right now, he and others say they're trying to remain hopeful, but as each day goes on, it's difficult.
Without my grandbabies and my daughter-in-laws, I don't know what I'd do, because this is the only thing that's kept me together is these girls.
Right now, they're focusing on prayer, hoping somehow he'll be able to come home. Mothers and fathers, students and teachers.
I cannot help but think about the voices we have lost too soon due to senseless gun violence.
Now a united front together demanding lawmakers pass gun control legislation.
I want them to understand that we're not here to get attention for ourselves. We are here to make it so that nobody else has to go through this.
In the wake of a mass shooting at a high school in Parkland, Florida, hundreds poured out, many victims themselves sharing their pain in hopes of sparking change.
I couldn't stop the tears from coming.
For Mary Kay Mays, the shooting at Parkland hit home especially hard. That same day, 10 years ago, her daughter was killed in a mass shooting at Northern Illinois University.
When I heard that another 17 people were dead and 14 of them were kids, I just, I lost it. I broke down and cried and got sick and everything, I mean, it just all comes back to you. It's like a punch to the solar plexus.
She calls these actions preventable, and if lawmakers don't take charge, they plan to November at the ballot box.
That is the fox guarding the henhouse. The Inspector General can't even initiate an investigation, any investigation, without first coming to us at the commission and getting permission.
Senator Karen McConaughey is lifting the veil on what she calls a flawed system after Tuesday, Speaker Madigan called for an investigation on himself.
That is a conflict of interest that cannot be denied.
She's one of 8 lawmakers on the Legislative Ethics Commission, a panel that reviews behavior complaints filed at the Capitol and sends credible ones to the Legislative Inspector General to investigate. But she says that process is tainted.
Let's be very, very clear about what really goes on here. 8 people on the commission, 2 from each caucus. We all talk to our leaders and come to the Legislative Ethics Commission meeting knowing full well what it is our leaders want to have happen.
Monday, House Democrat Representative Kelly Cassidy accused the Speaker of intimidation. She says Madigan and his allies threatened her part-time job when she challenged him. McConaughey says Cassidy's claim could fall through the cracks if things don't change.
The Inspector General can have a finding, bring it back to the commission, and the commission can vote to just sweep it under the carpet. That's what can happen.
Deputy Majority Leader Lou Lang, one of Madigan's most loyal allies, disagrees.
The rest of that is just politics.
He calls McConaughey's argument illogical.
The purpose of the Legislative Ethics Commission is to internally take a look at what's going on in our systems, whether it be staff people or members. And so there'd be an inherent conflict in any claim made under that test, and I just don't think that's appropriate.